it would be such a shame to like talk for an hour or something. And it's like realize it's not recording. Nice, and that should. I'm sure this thing will pick us both up, but there's not a lot of ambient noise, so we will see. I might keep my beer. You got it with you?
Yeah.
I just want to have a look. See how she's
your
doing.
old camera back.
I don't know if this has happened to you. Like I'll press the shutter too quickly. Like I'll kind of just go one motion. Like I'll try and just snatch the shot just too quick. That the lens like it hasn't finished that to focus. So like I press it fully before it's kind of finished that little bit of movement. So it hasn't locked in the focus yet. So the shot like doesn't count. Like so it hasn't kind of registered that you've.
So it's not even taking the photo.
Yeah. So it's like because I wanted to get it and then I've missed it because I've been like too eager.
I've done the same thing, but what I thought was happening was I thought I was only half pressing it and not following through because I was trying to take the photo really quickly and go up and out, and that's why I noticed that happened a couple of times where I was like got my film back and I was like, where's that photo? I remember taking it, I remember looking through, pressing the button, but I thought I was just half pressing it too quickly and coming out because I was in it. Like it was quite like an urgent photo. It wasn't something slow at all.
No, it's like if it hasn't locked focus, it like if it hasn't finished that,
because I've been trying to counteract that by when I take the photo holding down the shutter for like a second or so afterwards. Because it happened a couple times over the past few months where I was like really bummed out that I was like, I knew I could see the photo on my mind and I was like ready to get the film back, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I was just half pressing and not holding it down. Okay. But you reckon maybe it was just doing it too quickly?
Yeah. Like because it can only do kind of like one thing at a time, let's say. So it's like, it's not like if I was to do that, point this, and if you listen, right? So I'll go, since it's kind of close, it's going to take longer to get to that focus point, right? So if I go here and I'm going to go, I'm just going to full press it and you see?
Yeah.
So nothing happens.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. So it's like,
but if you did full press and held it down, you'd take the photo.
Yeah, because it would get there. It would have the kind of computation of the shutters being pressed. So it would kind of go through. But like your finger then, if your finger comes off, before it's kind of finished that movement.
Take
it
the
was
photo
like we're
stage.
doing one thing at a time. Yeah, exactly.
And that's cool. Good to know.
But yeah, that's messed me up in the street, and like that one kills me because it's like I've wanted it, and I've kind of been on edge so much that I've tried to just do it so quickly. That it's like no.
Yeah, and there's like two photos where I still have the image like burned into my brain. You know, when you miss it and you're like, I saw it through the viewfinder. There was like one on the South Bank of this lady like carrying a Pomeranian, but she had like huge sunglasses, and the Pomeranian like barked at me, and she looked surprised with her like big sunglasses. Like,
How have you found it? Like let's say the Santa thing that was kind of that had that ease of approaching that group or like taking pictures of that group because it's like what they're doing, they know they're a spectacle kind of thing. Like what? But you've also been taking a whole bunch of pictures where you're like pretty up in people's faces as well, or like you're close. You know, you might be kind of unseen in a lot of those situations, but you're still.
I don't think I'm very good at blending in. I feel like I'm always getting noticed, and I do find that in my photos. I'm like, they're looking at me way too often. I need to be better at like being less obvious, even it's like doing the tricks that people say, like, oh, pretend you're a like beginner and don't know what you're doing, and like focus on your hand and things like that. I don't really do any of those. Like, I just go and take the photo and then walk fast enough away that I'm gone before they like have time to really react too much.
You can hold yourself back really easy from being in that kind of distance from someone. Or
I would like to be able to be better at like confusing people into thinking that I'm not taking their photo, and I do try and do that. Like, it's like, focus on something else and then let them either scan or let them walk into the shot kind of thing. I'll do that sometimes.
They're like taking the picture and then just like looking past them. Bringing it up for another one. Like, I love the chick in your camera thing. Like, I've seen clips of Gary Winogrand.
Yeah, he's like the one who like made it popular. And I saw like, is it Matt Stewart, the English street photographer? He did a video recently where he was like doing the exact same thing, and I was like, he's doing the Gary Winogrand.
The Gary Winogrand. I love, yeah, the fake out.
Yeah, it's like the looking at the top of the camera kind of thing, and then the like sometimes put up the hand. But
how's the shutter on it? Like, because I cleaned the context. I did the
remember
clean.
you saying, yeah.
Has it come back at all or anything? It's
been perfectly fine. Yeah. The only issues was the one time when it hit the lens, close focusing, and then missing a few photos when I was pressing the button too quickly. But like apart from that, everything's perfect with it. Like it's like the best camera I had. Like before this, my like main 35mm camera that I had with me all the time was a Contax T3, and like I enjoy shooting this so much more. I'm also that cost 3 times the amount of money, and I was constantly terrified about like dropping that or doing anything. Obviously this is still a valuable camera, but it wasn't on the level of that. And even though that was like an insanely sharp lens, the photos still looked like point and shoot photos, where I don't get that with this at all. They were both like 35mm lenses, but obviously this lens is like twice the size of that one.
T3, just like you must be able to like turn the flash off and
you've got all the controls you want with that.
I feel like the flash really adds to that point and shoot look with those kind of cameras. But you've been using the flash as well with this, and those don't look like point and shoot pictures. I guess because it's like
it's external, so I'm shooting it like a couple feet away. I haven't it's too big. I'm not going to risk putting it on top of the camera. But and then
that thing's already a bit loose. Like
there's much bigger than like a point and shoot flash. But I'm really happy with it. Like this whole setup cost me like £40.
Nice.
It works so well.
Little contacts.
I see people have them with the Leicas and stuff.
Yeah, but it's just like that flash is, you could sell that for like £350, £400 kind of thing, which is a ridiculous amount of money to pay for like a flash that you can't even like alter the power output on, you know, like it's just on with a different spread kind of thing. So it's
you can alter like everything on this. You tell it what ISO film you're using. It tells you what aperture to shoot at, and then I just leave it at 1/25th shutter speed. So like my ambient exposure is super dark. But like that's kind of what I wanted when I was shooting those flash photos. Like the Santagon ones, most of them are shot at the day, but it looks like they're shot at night because only the flash is illuminated. Like everything else is pretty dark. And then the first time I went out and shot with the flash was on Halloween a couple months ago. Walked around for like 4 hours, shot a bunch of people. Only like one guy really flipped out on me, like proper chased me down. He had this like huge neck tattoo, which is like why I took the photo of him. And then he was just like screaming in my face, like trying to be all like macho to his friends, and I just had to like calm him down, defuse the situation, be like, sorry man, like he was like, you can't be doing that, can't be flashing people in their faces. But like everyone else, and I shot like at least 2 rolls of film, were cool with it. Some people would shout out and be like, can I see that photo? And I was like, sorry, you can't.
Give me a couple weeks. And your email address. What I was talking about before with like the kind of if there was any apprehension in kind of being that close to kind of people. I feel it sometimes, but not because of any kind of confrontation that the person might flip out or anything like that. Like I love the situation when it comes up to like reassure someone that like what you're kind of doing is like something based on genuine kind of interest, some kind of characteristic, or like something that they were bringing to another element or something. Like there's something I like in this, you know, like. And
do you actually tell them that? Or
If it comes up, like I love the opportunity to express that, you know. But it's not that I'm like kind of worried about, or that would kind of hold me back from interacting with a person or like a scene or something. It's just the not wanting to disturb like the beautiful thing that I've kind of like seen. You know, like if it's I've got one picture on my Instagram of a girl sitting on the bus kind of thing, and it was like I held her for a long time, like taking that picture. It's such a simple picture. It's just a girl sitting there. But it was like, I didn't want to. It seemed like so fragile, you know. Like if
and also you've got to ride the bus with her afterwards.
I mean, but like that's the thing. If she had turned and been like, "What are you doing?" Like I feel like I would have been able to convince her that it was this looked good and that I don't know, this felt good to me or whatever. And I'm sure I could have diffused any of that, but it's, you know, like if someone might have like a trait or a gesture they might do, like your wife for instance might have like something she does when she's just kind of like not focusing, like with the way like she might twist her hair, or then if you were like pointed it out and be like, oh, I love it, even if it's like, I love the way you do this, she'll think about it, and then she'll kind of like she'll stop doing it, you know, or she'll like she'll just think about it, and it's like that's something I kind of like, I hate to kind of actually like bring attention to them, you know, like it'll dissolve if you point it out in a way. That's the thing that kind of has me holding off. I don't know, I don't think these things really give out that easy. I think they're pretty sturdy.
It feels really like sturdy and like not fragile. Like, remember when you got the Yashica T4 after, and we were both saying it feels quite flimsy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't at all.
Like, I loved it. I love the way the pictures look. I love the way the pictures looked with that. I love the kind of close focus. The one downside to this camera, I think, is like you can't get closer than like this, maybe. The T4 was cool, but it was like, I don't know if I was using it in the heat. Like, I took it to Crete in Greece, and it was like hot there, and it was also hot I was in Paris during that kind of like heat wave. And when it got hot like that, it would just kind of like stop working, or really sporadically work. Yeah. And I because of the heat, maybe, but I don't know. But it was just like the inconsistency. I was like, I can't rely on this if I will pull it out. Like, if there's those situations where it's like, if, you know, you've got to be quick, or like it's just like a snap thing to like get a picture of that, something that's there, and then I'll slide it across, and it just doesn't come out. Slowly, the lens just didn't come out a few times, you know.
And any warning like that is like, get rid of it.
Yeah, and I did. The person who bought it was from like Scotland. Like, I sent it to Scotland. Is it ever hot enough for it not to work in Scotland? I don't know. Maybe it's fine there, and they're still using it to this day.
Yeah, because mine was the in-between between the contacts and this, but I didn't have it for very long, like, I want to say 2 months or something, maybe less. It was the autofocus that I was just like, it felt way more inconsistent than the contacts was. Yeah. And like, autofocus on this is obviously amazing and like so fast. I'm not always center framing my subjects, but sometimes I'm just lifting up and shooting, and it just happens to, like, I feel like it gets it way more than any other camera kind of thing, even though it's a center weighted focus. Like, it's just always works.
What about you posted that little set recently of the kind of like the doubles, the pairings.
Oh right, yeah.
There was one of like the couple
kissing on the side.
Was that just a quick shot?
Quick, didn't frame it like that at all, and they are right off to the side of the frame. Nice. That's the one I was thinking of when I was saying that. Yeah. I was really shocked that was in focus when that worked. Maybe I like scanned and like focused on them, and then as it focused, this is how we hold his camera. And from the first day I went out shooting street, this is what I did. Like, it was like, I've watched all those videos, and that was the thing that like stuck with me the most. It's like holding it there, because that motion is nothing compared to this kind of thing. Like, you don't want to walk around with it in front of your face all day, but like holding it there, and I feel like it just sits really nicely in between your shoulder.
Yeah, from down here, like I see you've kind of still got this strap to the point where it's loose enough that it's like you obviously wear it like
I like it really loose. Yeah, like if I'm just walking around like that, and then when I'm about to take a photo or go to like here, or I'll have it wrapped around my wrist.
Yeah, if I'm not kind of like really using it, I feel like that's the nicest way to kind of like carry it.
Yeah, you can in the same way like this bag is kind of thing. Like that's where
if you're biking, you know, like that makes sense rather than having like a on your neck to like a lot of
people have those short straps.
Yeah, it's just like sitting here, and I'm like, I feel like that would, you know, bounce, and that would just be kind of annoying.
They're like heavy things. You don't want that on like at your neck. Like, it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I love a couple of like warm up shots. Ones you don't feel like too kind of connected with, but it's funny.
You just have to do it.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Popping off a couple shots.
Just have to warm up for the first hour. You're gonna suck at it for like a little bit, and then you just get into that zone, flow state, whatever people want to call it, and that's like the best feeling when you're just shooting for like a couple hours. Yeah, I think the longest like day out was probably that I've had recently was SantaCon, because that was we met at 11 a.m. and then ended up at Trafalgar Square at like 6, and we stayed and hung around and shot there for like half an hour, 45 minutes, and then I was like, I need to go home, I'm so knackered.
Keeping yourself
you're like switched on for 7 hours
your attention, your attentiveness is kind of like peaked for that long, so it's.
But then it didn't stop us taking photos. It was just like, oh, I've seen. You get dulled to the sense of look at this weird thing around me, like, because it was like really strange thing to see. Things like that, and we're like, oh, it's so easy to just like not know when those things are happening, and we're like, there needs to be like a calendar or a Discord channel or something where it's just like London street photographers just sharing events and stuff. Remembrance Day, we both shot that day, but we just gone into London on a Sunday. We didn't realise it was happening, and that was like a really, really good day because there was so many people in uniforms and like different military groups and like just people around the parade that was like really good for shooting. But yeah, there needs to be some type of resource because like there's always like shit happening in Trafalgar Square, but there's no way to find out. It's not all collated in one place. Do you listen to the Candid Frame podcast?
No, I should. Yeah,
that's
I should listen
great.
to them.
Like, so that's what I listen to when I go out shooting. So I just have one ear in because I still want to be able to hear what's happening. Just like one ear pod in, and like philosophy and process and thoughts behind it, and not talk. They never talk about cameras like ever.
Yeah.
And there's so many like great photographers on there. There's like contemporary people, but then just like legendary people. Like I just listened to the Jeff Mermelstein one because I specifically looked up podcasts with him, even though there aren't many, because I love his work. Yeah. Like I really like his like humor and street photography, and just like he's fucking brilliant.
I love the way he looks. I love his kind of like
he's so tall, but he like crouches down to take the photo, and he just like I was watching a YouTube video of him just shooting on the street. It was like a 3-part one from the 90s kind of thing. It was like terrible quality because I wanted to see how he shot, and he literally like stops in front of someone like an old lady, crouches down, getting into face, takes the photo, and then just walks away.
You kind of see him, or he's painted as this kind of like giant who just manages to disappear.
Yeah.
For some reason, he can kind of just through like body language, he can kind of like become unnoticeable. He's one usually I don't like I love shooting film, and I don't think I'll stop shooting film, but there's like a lot of photographers that started when there was only film, and they kind of like just through progression went to digital, like people who still make incredible images like Joel Merwitz or
yeah, because
Jürgen Teller.
I've read the book that Joel did on like the Masters of Photography one that was like also with there was like a video series, and I've seen like clips from that, and he's shooting with like a digital Leica nowadays.
Yeah, I guess like same kind of tool, so we can still approach it the same, but he's shooting digital. But like those photographers, I always like their pictures better when it's like their film stuff.
Yeah.
Like it just aesthetically, I guess, but it's like I don't know, the quality. It just feels nicer when it's film.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame that people have transitioned. I don't think I ever will. And like a lot of photographers who have started when they've had the choice of either, and then have chosen film, I don't think they'll kind of ping pong around if they find like a tool they like to use, like we have, let's say. But Jeff Mermelstein, like I really like the way that he kind of evolved with technology. Like, did you see the
phone series?
The phone series.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was fantastic. Like, I thought that was a brilliant kind of use of like tech, or like a showing like kind of
he's like obsessed with taking photos on his phone now. I've like seen some clips where he's saying he's taken millions of photos on his phone. Yeah,
that's like a nice use of kind of technology, I think, rather than just like the ease of using digital over
when people
film.
talk about the differences between like shooting film, shooting digital, like I'm so bad for doing like all the bad digital stuff, like shooting way too many photos, like looking at my screen all the time. Like if any work events I shoot, or just like anything for work, I do all those things, and then I have to go through all of the photos and like cull through photos that are almost exactly the same, but I've taken 50 of them, and like and then it's like so refreshing to use this and just like not think about it until I get the photos back. It's just a more fun experience. And it's like when you go out to take photos, you're not thinking about the product afterwards. You're just thinking about, I'm getting exercise and I'm getting out. And like, I used to hate coming into central London. I used to be like, this is shit, it's so busy. And now I like love it for the opportunity to take photos.
For me, like there could be no film in the camera. Well, I like to believe there could be no film in the camera, and it's like, it's more like saying I used to hate coming in here and now I kind of get enjoyment out of it. It's like, it's the art of kind of enjoying things, or like just paying a little bit more attention to things that like otherwise I don't know, you might have ignored or something.
Oh yeah, like this year, getting into shooting street, watching so many like street photography documentaries, like reading books on it and stuff. You're like, I never would have noticed all like the weird things. Like now I'm always looking out for like someone wearing an eye patch, like because like that's always a good photo.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, those things you all notice now, and it makes it more fun. It makes walking around more fun. But yeah, I think that's why I like Mermelstein's photos, is like it's weird and fun kind of thing. So like he's got like the super famous photo of the guy holding the book in his mouth. So I've got like I've got the book like 100 most influential street photos that I got a couple months ago, and that's like on the cover of it. So then I was like, right, I want to take a photo of someone holding something in their mouth. And at Xantagon, because everyone's walking and drinking, it kept happening. I got 3 photos that day of people holding things in their mouths. Like obviously they're nowhere near as good as his ones or as iconic, but I was like, oh, I'm just going to do this because I like his photos and do it for fun to like try and replicate that kind of thing. Like it's a way to learn, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, that was just like, I want to take a photo like his, like, not to be like, yeah, not to like rip it off, but just because, oh, it's fun to try this experiment. Like try and get a photo like someone's photo I really like.
Yeah, milk everything, I think. Like that's, I mean, someone like Quentin Tarantino, let's say, like
it's like the master of that.
He likes things so intensely, it becomes its own unique thing.
I probably shouldn't be doing it, directly copying other photographers. It's probably better to be like, be influenced by other things, which obviously you always are. Like, I grew up skateboarding and stuff, so like loads of why I take photos and stuff comes off that when I was younger, kind of thing.
Matt Stewart as well was a skateboarder at one point, I think.
Oh really? I don't know that about similar kind of disciplines, like
out on the streets.
Yeah, it's endless. That's the thing. You can never like win at it. I think that's why I like it. Like,
yeah. You land it and it looks good with style, kind of thing.
They're both judged on style, which is what I really like. Like, yeah, you can have photography competitions or skateboarding competitions, but it's like the way people like who they like because of their style. Since I've been, because I was like looking on the Facebook group for this and stuff like that, and I saw some people talking about settings for street photography, and I've basically only shot on this now, which is put it on program mode and put it at 2, because then it's like it's like a forced shutter priority mode basically, isn't it? So it's always shooting at 250th of a second, and then how bright it is determines your aperture. So if I'm walking around in daylight, it's usually shooting at f8 or 5.6 or something like that, and then just like I know that it's at 250. With still, that's the only problem I probably have with this, is it's not fast enough for everything. It's fast enough for most things, but like I do need to try and hold the camera a bit steady. You can't be swinging the camera around. I feel like if it got to 500th, this camera would be so much more popular, wouldn't it? Like, because that's what like most people want to shoot at if they're walking around shooting. But I think it's kind of like, it's good to give yourself like restrictions sometimes, and like, I need to be a bit more steady when I'm shooting with it, kind of thing. Like, do you notice it or are bothered by it, or I don't know?
Like, I'm fine with things kind of like having a little bit of like motion.
I'm growing to like it now as well.
Yeah. With 1/500th would be perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be, this camera wouldn't be worth the 400, 500 or 700 or whatever that it is. If there is any blur, like that's kind of on me. Like if there was anything, like I could pan. So I've got to look at that little bit of blur here. But this is, I see this one as being completely my fault. You know, like this one could have been good because I think I just kind of held it, and they were scootering, which is like a little faster than...
Yeah, I get photos back like this all the time. For a minute I was like, oh, you've opened my hard drive. It was like one of the blurry photos I got.
Yeah. But I feel like this is wholly my fault. Like if I had just...
Because what you thought pan, so that you got them still as matching the motion with them.
Yeah. So there would have been still a bit of motion in the background and stuff.
Yeah,
it would have been better because
that would have had a way better payoff. But I never thought I would have been able to do that. I'd be like, no, I'd fuck this up.
But there's a lot of calculations.
Have you ever shot anything wider than a 35?
Yeah, I've had the Contax TVS too.
Oh yeah, is that manual focus? That one? Is the TVS manual
autofocus? But it's got the zoom. It's got the zoom.
Oh, zoom, right? That's why it's got something on the front of the lens that made me think of it. Yeah.
And I also had the Minolta TC1. Which
that's like tiny little
one.
credit card size
one.
isn't it?
I mean, I'm sure it's not that much smaller.
But it's
if
like
anything,
titanium
than the
as
T3.
well. And is that a 28mm, right?
28mm.
Yeah.
But that one had like a few quirks, a few things about it that it couldn't be a good street camera, like this perfect thing that we were
I don't see
raving
anyone
about.
using it for street stuff.
I don't want to be like thrown off by anything. Like 5 minutes you're walking around without having like taken any pictures, done anything. It goes beep, 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 and like closes.
itself
You know,
off,
it like
right.
goes into sleep mode. This thing goes into sleep mode. Like you can leave it on, and like you leave it for I don't know how long it is. Like it must be something like an hour or something before it like turns off. So if you've put it on the shelf and it's still on, you come back and like shit, this is still on, but it's off. It's like it's turned itself off.
Yeah.
But I've never had it kind of go to sleep or anything.
It's always
like,
ready to go.
But the Minolta TC1, it's like has this like long drawn out movement and the cover goes over. You know?
That's good to know because I've definitely been tempted by that camera.
Man, that one's hard. That one's hard work to.
I like just having one camera, one lens. I don't. The obvious alternative to this is the G2 kind of thing. Like that's like D2 you can get the. It's like they have a 35. I think most people have like a 45 for it, but you can get a 35 or the 28. So I was like, if you were going to trade up, get that camera, still got a great autofocus, and have the two lenses. But then it's like, then I'm just going to be walking around wanting to change lenses every 5 minutes.
It's like the restriction, like we were saying about the shutter speed. It's like almost a blessing to have restriction. It's like to not be able to like the least amount of choices you have to make. That's better, I think.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm going to doubt my choices after I've taken the photo, like all the
Should
time.
have used that other lens. I've got it right here.
There's another Hexar shooter that because I like follow the hashtag for it on Instagram.
Sick.
There's another guy I found who was so great. I wanted to show him to you. Milton Bananas is his Instagram, but it's just like portraits in Spain, I think. Yeah, is in Madrid. And it's just like all these incredible street portraits.
It looks like all
they're so good. I love his work. But yeah, like lots of kind of punks and stuff, and like that's amazing.
Someone else who was kind of like fell in love with this camera as well, and is using it for everything.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see someone using it a different way. And then there's another guy who found through the same thing, just like liking the hashtag. Sam. I only recently found him, kind of thing, and then he like stitches all of his together into like this huge collage and stuff. He's based in London as well. He was asking on the Santacon photos about how I shot with flash and stuff. But really like his work as well. There's some other two good ones I've found.
Yeah, nice. It doesn't. I'm surprised it's not as kind of like popular.
Walking around here shooting the street and stuff, I'm trying to shoot as wide open as possible, but on the times when I've shot this like in low light slower situations, like I have a photo when we were in Italy of my wife that I know was like shot at f2 and just like the background blur on it was in this like really nice cafe where everything's like really nicely lit. I loved how that one came out with this lens, like the background blur on that, I love it.
This girl here who is like this.
Oh yeah.
she also got this exact same camera. So I had this the last time I was hanging out with her and shooting some pictures of her. She was like, that camera's beautiful. So it's kind of it's spreading. It's spread now. She bought the Rhodium. She bought it like from Japan, and like she paid kind of she paid.
Yeah. So do you think that when you're taking photos through mirrors, it's always going to focus on the mirror, not on you, right? Because of the infrared focus.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's what the easiest thing to do is, let's say the mirror is the table there, right?
Yeah.
And just and then just click that medium, the manual focus thing, and then like, okay, it's 1.3, so I'll just click it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just double it up, and then if you wanted to get focus from that.
That's good to know. Yeah.
But yeah, so she got this camera, and she bought it with the box, with the manuals and stuff. She just wanted the
best one,
the cleanest possible thing. And she went for the brown as well, which is not like the cheapest version of it. She was just being like so careful and gentle with it, and like carrying it around in this little case. I'm like, this thing can like take some like hits. I hate to see that babying of equipment, and that's why I don't like to, like you were saying with the T3. You know, like you spend so much money on it, you want to be so careful.
Yeah, which I didn't want to do, and I tried not to because I've never been someone who like baby's my equipment, but like it's always in the back of your mind. Whereas like this, it feels like a tool. It doesn't feel like a prize. Yeah.
How do you kind of connect with like black and white pictures? Because I find it really difficult.
Yeah, I'm such a color person. Yeah. I've been thinking about it quite a bit recently, actually, because I'm like, oh, I should try it, but I just like my photos especially, I up all the color on them. Like if you look at my photos, they're super colorful and really bright, and I'm like, I would hate to have had black and white film in my camera and missed out on a great color photo. I bought a black and white roll from the photographer's gallery a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, the weather's getting bad, it's coming into winter, I'll save it for a grey day when I'm out, and I just haven't put it in the camera. I want color because I want characters. Like my photos want to be of like people, and I think color helps demonstrate that.
This latest one, I think this is brilliant the way you've kind of like paired this stuff up.
Oh, thanks, man.
That's really fun.
Yeah, that was just kind of like, I like the sequencing, and the first two of the two people like covering their ears. Once I got this photo, I knew I had the other one, which the other one meant nothing before, and I was like, do I wait another year or two until I have 4 of these photos and then like sequence them together? And then I just got bored, and I was like, I want to use them, so I'll sequence these 2 and then use another 2, and all of them I shot this month. And I did that on the day 3 days ago. I just went through all my recent photos. It was all in editing, because people say it's like left brain and right brain. Like there's like the creative side of your brain when you're taking the photo, and I'm only looking for, when I'm out taking a photo, I'm thinking of what are moments that only like will be there and gone, and no one else gets to see, kind of thing. Like that's what I want to capture. I want to capture like just like weird. I kind of say to myself, capture life happening, which is really like kind of silly just like thing to repeat to yourself, but that's what I'm trying to tell myself when I'm going out trying to get in the zone. Like, oh yeah, she was like, her hair was tangled in her glasses.
That's my favorite of the scene.
Okay, it's not in focus, like actually behind is in focus, but I just remember being like, her hair is tangled in her glasses. That's a unique thing, kind of thing. That's all I was thinking about.
Unique thing to kind of like photography in a way. Like we're like, this is something that looks interesting only because you were there to like take the picture of it.
That's what I always want to do when I go out to take photos. Is I always want to capture that moment that's I'm gonna see it.
See, that's the interesting thing of photography, where it's like, you can make that kind of like sub-reality, where it's like it's not
which I think Jeff Mermelstein does like amazingly. So that's like, keep going back to his stuff.
Pairings that you did in that latest post. He's also got one called Twirl
Run.
I thought that was, I mean, that's the similar kind of take on that kind of thing, right? Where it's like you're picking out or gravitating towards these certain like gestures, and like finding it kind of.
I hadn't really thought about it like that. Yeah, I was like, mine seemed way simpler than his. His was like, he came up with an amazing original idea that no one had done before, kind of thing. Like create a whole book around men running and women twirling their hair.